Welcome to Newsmax TV. I'm Kathleen Walter. Joining us is Representative Steve King, a Republican representing Iowa's 5th District. The congressman sits on the committees on agriculture, small business, and judiciary. He is the ranking member on the subcommittee on immigration. He joins us now from Washington. Welcome back to Newsmax TV, Representative.
I'm glad to be back, Kathleen.
Democrats seem determined to ram health care reform through despite what Americans think. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi claims she has the votes needed to get the bill through, yet the House Majority Whip says he doesn't have the 216 votes needed. Where do you think things stand with the bill right now?
Well, the handicap on this has been that she's between 5 and 15 votes short. It doesn't surprise me that Nancy Pelosi would say she has the votes. They're trying to create a facade that of a basis of expectation that the bill's going to pass. That makes things easier for them if they can do that. So I think she falls short right now, maybe around 10 votes. It's going to be very hard to get them. This isn't your regular vote. This isn't the kind of thing where you just promise a committee chairmanship or a bridge or whatever it might be. Every member of Congress is on record of their position on this one way or another, and that makes it really hard for her. Right now, I think the odds are slightly in her favor, but I would not tell you that I believe this bill is going to pass. I think we do have a chance to kill it, and we should turn out all of our efforts to do so.
We've learned that Majority Whip Clyburn is saying a vote could be delayed until after the Easter holiday. What are the implications of this for the bill? And do you expect that we'll see the reemergence of those raucous town hall meetings, much like we saw toward the end of last year?
I think we can. And in fact, last August were really raucous town hall meetings, and this debate went on, and of course we had this vote on the 7th of November in the House that barely passed. I think if we'd have pulled out all the stops, we actually could have killed it in the House. The Christmas Eve vote in the Senate was another one of those things, and barely passed. They didn't have any votes to spare in the Senate. And then when Scott Brown was elected in January 19th in Massachusetts, that should have killed this bill. And I think what it did is it told America that the bill was, a lot of people thought the bill was dead, and so the intensity diminished in its opposition. And now here we are today, a lot of people in this city wishing that they'd turned up the effort a lot more after Scott Brown's election just to make sure there was a wooden stake driven into the heart of this bill.
Democratic leadership have been pulling out all the stops to get this bill through, but the holdouts and those who say they'll vote against are no doubt creating angst for the leadership. We're hearing reports of backdoor deals being made behind the scenes by Democrats to secure more votes. What pressures are being put on Democratic members of Congress right now?
Well, it could be any number of things, and it will be hard to determine what that pressure is because, you know, everyone is going to posture themselves as a statesman who is evaluating the language and coming to a prudent policy decision. And I can't think of any of them that might be switching votes that are doing anything other than weighing the politics. And so it could be a bridge, it could be a highway, it could be a future committee chairmanship, it could be a chairmanship that exists today that might be threatened, any of those things like that. And when we see the next appropriation bills unfold and we see the projects in those districts, just maybe then the press will put it together and add up 2 plus 2 and figure out what kind of deals may have been made.
As a member of the Judiciary Committee's Constitution Subcommittee, do you feel that this is a danger to the constitutional process?
Well, it certainly is, I think, a violation of the intended structure of the constitutional process. And I'd say we're in this situation today where the Senate could not pass their own bill today. Scott Brown's election says that. So there's a piece of legislation that the House members are being asked to pass that today can't pass the Senate. But the House is supposed to be passing the Senate bill on the promise that there will be a series of fixes under reconciliation. So I don't think the Founding Fathers ever envisioned that there would be a bill that could become law. The Senate version of it, if it passes the House, will become law. It'll be the law of the land. But the Founders never envisioned that there could be legislation that can't pass the Senate, that wouldn't pass the House, that could still become law on the promise that it would be amended at a later date. That's where we are with this. It's that bizarre. And when you add on to that the slaughter rule that hangs out here, that the House might just, the Pelosi majority in the House, might just bring a rule to the floor that would deem that the Senate bill had been passed by the House, so they would avoid having to vote that they were even for the Senate version of the bill with the Cornhusker kickback, Louisiana Purchase, Florida Gatorade, a series of other special benefits for senators in the bill.
We hear that there have been jobs offered to change votes. Is this illegal and should it be investigated?
If jobs have been offered, and I presume that means jobs to members of Congress, if that's the case, that should be investigated. If there's any carrot that's hung out there that personally benefits any member of Congress, then I believe that it should be investigated, and I think that would be an obscene violation of our ethical standards.
Who should investigate, Justice or Congress?
Well, that's a good question. The Justice Department has been getting ever more politicized, so I don't have a lot of faith in the Justice Department. Congress, as long as it's the Pelosi majority and the Harry Reid majority, have demonstrated with their refusal to investigate Acorn that they're not likely to investigate themselves. And so I guess I have to put my best proposal on the Justice Department doing that investigation, but we may have to ask for special prosecutors if it gets to the point where there's enough evidence and it's weighty and it could be demonstrated that the Justice Department's not doing their job, neither would the legislative branch be doing their job.
All right, let's move on to the implications of the Democrats' quest to pass a health care bill. I understand that you chair the Conservative Opportunity Society, which is a powerful and legendary House caucus that is best known for energizing Republicans to regain the majority of the House of Representatives in 1994. Democratic pollsters are saying that if Democrats don't do a better job of listening to Americans on the issue of health care reform, that Democrats could lose big in the midterm elections. Karl Rove has said President Obama might not win re-election should he seek it if he doesn't change course. Do you agree on both points?
Well, I do. And I would say this, that where we are today, it's the guess is this, that how many seats will Republicans pick up in the House of Representatives? There is not one single pundit in America that's predicting that the Democrats can hold the seats they have, let alone gain seats. They all concede that Democrats will lose seats in the House and in the Senate. So the question becomes how many. It's Nancy Pelosi right now has 40 votes to burn. I think that they'll lose seats in the range of 35 to 70. That's my prediction. And a lot of it comes because of the arrogance, the defiance that they've demonstrated towards the American people. And as this moves forward, President Obama has driven this country off to the left in a hard leftward lurch that weakens him politically. And Democrats find themselves now in a very difficult spot. They can't go forward without committing political suicide, walk the plank, as I think maybe Nancy Pelosi has actually said. And there could be as many as 40 of them that'll be pushed off the end of the plank in this vote on health care. And if they don't go forward and try to pass the bill, they don't have an agenda that can move forward either. So they're stuck in a hard spot. They can't move forward, they can't move back. Either direction is fraught with peril. And if they fall short, the Obama administration then and the Democrats can look forward to the balance of his term or terms and essentially legislative limbo land. That's why they're in this bad spot today. There isn't anything that appears can come out of the Obama administration if they can't pass health care. His agenda is dead, and it's a matter of Republicans taking over, eventually electing a president and new majorities to turn this country back where it needs to go.
So are you then predicting that 2010 will be a repeat of 1994? And if so, what do Republicans have to do to capitalize on that?
It looks like it's very likely to be a repeat of 1994. Some say it's even stronger in its direction and in the flow and in the current of the politics. So I think that Republicans need to continue to capitalize on this. But between now and November, it's up to Republicans to lay out an agenda so that the American people can vote for the direction that we would turn this country. And if we get that done, we've got to make the case to the American people. The American people then come to the polls and elect us into the majority. That gives us the mandate, the responsibility to follow through and to keep our word. Right now, we haven't articulated a Republican agenda after a majority would be achieved. That's got to be done between now and November if we're going to ask for the trust of the American people.
All right, Representative King, last question real quickly. You're the ranking member on the House Immigration Subcommittee. Recently, a meeting was held at the White House to discuss a comprehensive immigration bill that would give amnesty to more than 10 million illegal immigrants in America, thus turning them into competitive workers and voters. Some critics have said this is Obama's way of attempting to steal the 2012 election. Do you agree with those critics who accuse Obama of trying to steal the 2012 election?
Well, I don't know about stealing the 2012 election. The things that they're doing with this I call it comprehensive amnesty because that is the framework that's underneath it. It is the outreach to the Hispanic voters in America. I would go back to that time in 2006 or 7 when there were tens of thousands, some said about 150,000 Many of them were illegal here in Washington, D.C., and Senator Teddy Kennedy went out and addressed them, and he had an interpreter that spoke in Spanish for him. But he said to those masses of tens of thousands of many of them immigrants and many of them illegal immigrants, he said, "Some say, report to be deported. I say, report to become an American citizen." That was the clarion call issued by Senator Teddy Kennedy then that said, come into this country, legally or illegally, we will give you citizenship, and you need to be a Democrat. That's their agenda on their side of this. President Obama is reaching out in that fashion. I think he understands that he can't go forward politically on comprehensive amnesty because his political juice has been so diminished. I mean, President Obama has lost his mojo, and he can't push comprehensive amnesty without more political capital. So he's trying to hold it together and rebuild his political capital. I don't know that he can get it done between now and 2012, but that's the coalition he's trying to hold together.
All right, Representative Steve King of Iowa, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Kathleen.
And thank you for watching Newsmax TV.
Sarah Palin's new book, Going Rogue in American Life, will be released on November 17th. You can be among the first to get your copy. Check out our incredible free offer for Sarah's new book. Just go to Newsmax.com and click on the top banner for this great offer. Act today.